Hey internet, welcome back to No Meta, Just Vibes. World of Warcraft: The War Within is a pretty gutsy expansion given that it's mostly set underground. It's also part of an expansion trilogy telling one long story, and the devs have expressed a desire to tell the story in a more impactful way. And while I was skeptical, I have to admit, the third zone in this expansion, Hallowfall, blew me away. I found myself so drawn in, invested, and ultimately impressed with this place, and I believe it's my favorite zone in WoW's history. Let's take a look at it. Entering the zone, you are hit with this amazing sight of a giant crystal in the ceiling of the cavern acting as a sun. Even knowing this was going to be here thanks to trailers and such, it really does take your breath away when you first see it. This zone uses its verticality brilliantly, with tons of different layers and levels to explore, and it really shows some growth from Dragonflight and how it uses the knowledge that players will be flying to create its zones. I thought a cave expansion would be claustrophobic, but Hallowfall feels as expansive as any zone they've ever made. You immediately see a glowing tower, which even without the quest marker you'll naturally want to go to and check out. Here we find Faerun and find out what this place actually is. So a few decades ago, the Emperor of the Arathi Empire had a prophetic vision of a great source of light, and sent out an expedition to find it. They all got warped underground with no way out, but the crystal, which they call Beledar, had to be that light, so they were happy and settled in. When Sargeras stabbed the world, the crystal went dark, and the Cobus and Nerubians swarmed them, resulting in huge losses. The crystal now switches between light and shadow at random, leaving the Arathi in a constant uneasy struggle. They use the light from glowing towers to keep the monsters at bay, but over time this has been less and less effective as Xal'atath urges them on. What's really neat about this zone visually, by the way, is that aside from the story moments where it happens, the crystal can in fact go dark at random, and it changes the entire look and vibe of the zone and just gives Hallowfall such a unique flavor. But this war has taken its toll on the people, and the real conflict of the zone's story isn't between them and the monsters, but rather hope versus despair. These people are tired of war, they're tired of not knowing when the enemy will come and for how long, they're tired of losing friends and loved ones so far from their home. People deal with this in different ways. There's an ongoing dynamic with General Steelstrike and Faerun, where Steelstrike is the grizzled warrior who's just trying to hold the line and stay cautious, and Faerun is the young rebel. But what makes her rebellious is actually her optimism, and her belief that they can push back the enemy. This battle between hope and despair flows throughout the entire zone, and most of the side quests. Andon, a paladin who has lost his powers, has been moping for a while now, and I think a lot of people are kind of tired of it. Here, Faerun refuses to indulge him, and in a really cool sequence where we literally walk through the darkness with them, she teaches him to stop being so self-important and obsessive about what he doesn't have. I'll be real with you, I spent a lot of the story just wanting Andon to get his life back already since I assumed that's where it was going anyway. I was pleasantly surprised that they actually didn't do this, and that he had to learn to deal with this situation and grow as a person instead of getting an easy fix, which is usually how WoW does things. I still assume it's going to happen at some point, but it will at least feel a little more earned because he worked for it. This conflict is playing out throughout the side quests as well. This tends to be where Blizzard does a lot of its best character writing, and that's no different here. There's Duke Velheim, a warrior hero who it turns out lied about all his great deeds. His guilt and fear led him to ignore the threat to his small farming community, not wanting to fight anymore, and his tower has gone dark. When his son tries to live up to his legend and puts himself in danger, he realizes he can't just sit on the sidelines forever and needs to lead and protect his people. At an orphanage, Eliza Bowblaze asks us to get her teddy bear from her old house. She follows us and asks us to help take revenge on the Cobus who killed her parents. We gather their things and she dons their helmet and sword, which is very cute, and the whole time is cheering us on as we kill the Cobus. It is cute and funny, but it's also really sad that this small child has been driven to feeling like this. We get revenge, help her say goodbye, and that's it. There is no real resolution for her, only a pain that she has to try to work to get past. Andiri Dawnsurge asks us to check on one of his lieutenants who has gone AWOL. You assume he'll be angry having met the rest of the troops and seeing how they operate, but he understands that this is a dark and dangerous place and that the war is wearing on them. When you find him, you have a choice to be either sympathetic or admonishing, and when a fishing trip turns into a fight to protect some children, he finds his courage and purpose again and rejoins the fight. He's fine with getting punished, but that's not what Dawnsurge wanted. He's going to be lenient with him because he understands that this is a really difficult conflict. Not everyone chooses the side of hope though. Aloric Lead has been consumed by despair and he believes there is no hope for the Arathi. He forms a cult dedicated to bringing Hallowfall into shadow, which he has come to believe is its true state, and that the light will inevitably abandon them, so that it's best to give in now. This makes him a perfect agent for Xal'atath, who gives him the power to corrupt the sacred flames that hold back the Cobus and the Nerubians. Steelstrike wants to retreat, not out of cowardice but wanting to save as many of her soldiers as she can. Faerun, however, argues that they can't keep running running and they have to fight to keep the light strong. Even if they don't make it, others will take up the fight in their place. I think in any other expansion, Faerun would have been kind of annoying and preachy to me, but I think she works here because there's a lot of nuance and exploration of the situation these people are in that makes it feel more radical and inspirational. This is helped by the small, optional conversations you can have with the characters during the story, which I think add a lot. The dialogue in WoW cutscenes tends to sound like a bunch of trailer ending sound bites that don't actually say anything, and they usually have to try to get across all the story they know most players are skipping in text boxes. I think the cutscenes in War Within as a whole strike a good balance, and they seem more comfortable letting you invest as much or as little in the story as you want without making the important story moments feel super dumbed down. It's not like the zone is doing anything super radical. Nearly every zone in World of Warcraft has a group fighting against an enemy force that is slowly winning until we come in and help. Most of your quests are going to involve killing a bunch of guys or picking up a bunch of items. Aside from Beledar changing how the zone looks, Hallowfall isn't doing anything super crazy, but the story, visuals, and level design are all being executed at an extremely high level, and that makes it something really special. With so many zones in this game, it really is something when one makes you feel like this zone made me feel. I was really moved by the story. As a tourist player who only engages with WoW occasionally, I really do feel like Blizzard is trying to move the game forward, trying new things and to keep improving, which I totally commend them for this many years in. I've actually really enjoyed the War Within a good deal, and I'm looking forward to what comes next. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video and want to drop a like or a sub, that would be swell. See you next time.